It is exactly 1 minute past 8 p.m. A very good evening and welcome to UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon Jondusha, and Mugalu Mohammed on Sign Language. We'll take a look at our top stories of today.
The news headlines are brought to you by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Keep your information up to date with your regulated financial institution. Customer deposits are protected up to 10 million Ugandan shillings. Terms and conditions apply.
Coming up, President Museveni appoints new Deputy Chief Justice and Chief Registrar. Bank of Uganda warns on rising inflation and maintains CBR at 9.75%. And still to come, day 2 swearing in, new legislators want people-centric laws. Later on in our sports news, we'll look at Uganda defeating DR Congo in the U17 AFCON game.
We're brought to you by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Keep your information up to date with your regulated financial institution. Customer deposits are protected up to 10 million Ugandan shillings. Terms and conditions apply.
We start off today with President Museveni, who has praised China for what he described as decades of strong partnership and support towards Uganda's development and economic transformation. The president made the remarks while meeting Mr. Losang Jamkan, the special envoy of Chinese President Xi Jinping, at State House in Entebbe. Mr. Losang delivered President Xi's congratulatory message following President Museveni's re-election and reaffirmed China's commitment to strengthening bilateral ties with Uganda. President Museveni thanked China for opening its market to Ugandan products through zero tax access and noted that many Chinese companies are now investing in Uganda. The meeting also touched on regional and international issues, with both sides emphasizing dialogue and cooperation in promoting peace and development. In more stories about the president, today he has reiterated his commitment to wealth creation as the key strategy to uplift Uganda's standards of living. He made this commitment while presiding over the launch of the second phase of the 4-acre model campaign for the Bunyoro sub-region at an event held in Kakumiro district.
Turkmen people actually, and in Turkey 60–70%. But historical center main city was Merv. It's in the south. Well, so Turkish language speaking nations are Bashkortostan, Kazakhstan. Tomorrow I live in high quality cotton and textile products. Fast running horses. This is what wool. Historical we produced and handmade.
Correction on that, that was actually a story where President Museveni held talks with Atta Sedarov, the leader of the Democratic Party of Turkmenistan, who represented President Sedar at the president's swearing-in ceremony. Of course, during the meeting, the president thanked the delegation for traveling to Uganda and asked Mr. Sedarov to convey his appreciation to President Sedar for the solidarity extended to Uganda. Appointed Moses Kaomi Kaziwe as the new Deputy Chief Justice, filling a position that became vacant following the elevation of Flavian Zasia about 3 months ago. According to a statement issued by State House Uganda on Thursday, the appointment forms a part of plans to strengthen leadership within the judiciary. Justice Kaziwe, who has been serving as the Court of Appeal of Uganda and the Constitutional Court, now assumes the second highest office in Uganda's judicial system. In the new role, he will deputize the Chief Justice and support the administration of justice across the country. In the same communication, the President also appointed Her Worship Agnes Alum as Chief Registrar of the High Court. She replaces Sarah Langasi, who was recently elevated to the position of High Court Judge. The Chief Registrar oversees court administration and management of judicial operations, making the office central to the efficient delivery of justice. Justice Kaziwe was first appointed as High Court Judge in May 2016, the same period when Justice Zasia also joined the bench. The two have since risen through the ranks to occupy the top leadership positions in the judiciary within a decade. Before joining the appellate court, Justice Kaziwe served as resident judge at the Mubende High Court Circuit, where he was credited for spearheading legal reforms, addressing case backlog, and promoting public engagement initiatives such as court open days. Well, congratulations to the new Deputy Chief Justice and Her Worship Agnes Alum as the Chief Registrar. In more stories, newly sworn in members of Parliament of the 12th Parliament of Uganda have pledged unwavering support towards President Museveni's cause of fighting corruption. That way, they say promises made, projects made and targets set will be achieved in the next 5 years. They also say that on this day, as Parliament sworn in its new members of Parliament, it's been the second day, while the last day will be tomorrow.
It is an oath.
And that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution.
Coming with one promise after another.
I'm very sure God will give me the grace and I will deliver.
We shall work for development.
We still have low health service coverage.
Commitment after commitment.
We need to request the government to focus on Karamoja.
As well as assurances and affirmations.
Karamoja is now very peaceful. You can move.
Omoro district is leading in coffee production.
Within the next 3 years, I will have completed what I promised the people.
But something threatens such visions.
No more corruption.
A disease seen to be holding Uganda back in all aspects.
They have entrusted you. They have given you job. You are earning good salary. Why should you be corrupt? Why? Ugandans, let us love our country.
In the judiciary, we don't want corruption. In the parliament, we don't want corruption. In the cabinet, we don't want corruption. In local governments, we don't want corruption.
Honestly speaking, we get a lot of money through taxes. But at the end of the day, you realize that the money is allocated and it doesn't do anything. So I will urge the government to put an iron hand to ensure that the money allocated does what is supposed to be done.
Corruption is not per se bad, including bribery. It's not bad. If I came to you, journalists, to ask you for an interview here, you are not ready for me. And I gave you something. In America, they call it a tip. They only call it bribery here. In America, they call it a tip. They have even put bags for tips. So why do you deceive us? America, where? America.
This is why newly inaugurated members of the 12th Parliament are joining hands with the President to fight graft.
And I can attest that the President has held this in high regard, saying this time we do not want corruption, and it starts with us, the MPs.
The President's statement was on point, and I will personally work and do my best to ensure that we fight corruption, and secondly, we cause social transformation in the lives of our people.
And we are going to do whatever it takes to say that we are sweeping out corruption in the country. But I know that individually it starts with me. It starts with the Parliament, but even you in your different systems.
When this is done, they say, services will get closer to people.
We are the watchdogs, and we will encourage the people also to watch us, because the watchdog cannot stay without being watched. So we will make sure the Parliament is accountable, because the question is, who watches the watchdog?
And in the long run, socio-economic empowerment will be realized.
Corruption has killed everything. Corruption has killed service delivery. I, as Patrick Musingus, a born again who is known in Kashari North constituency, I will ensure that given the opportunity, given the mandate as a member of parliament, I will ensure that I work hard, we fight corruption to help the president, because the president cannot work in isolation.
Because when you're to look, the workers are the only special interest group without a funding. When you're to look at the old people, they do have a fund, that is SAGE. The young people do have the Youth Livelihood Fund. The women do have their fund. The youth have the Livelihood Fund. But when you're to look at the workers, we are not indicated anywhere.
Meaning that we have to work so hard, we as Ugandans, and we, your leaders, we have to make sure that we deliver service so that you Ugandans, you can get where you start from.
At the end of the second day of oath-taking at Parliament, 358 members had so far been sworn in, with each promising the best for their electorates.
Politics will come again in 2031. I believe that is the time that we shall be judged, whether we have done something for you or we haven't done.
We want to appreciate the government of Uganda that has brought on board the program of PDM. I'm going to rally behind the president to ensure that people get their money, and those who have got, to ensure that they use it well to help them come out of poverty.
When I talk about service delivery, it is very broad. Firstly, when we talk about service delivery, I mean health services. I mean education. I mean ability to connect from one place to another, and that is in terms of roads.
I'll make sure that whatever is allocated to the district, we do follow up to that dot. Be it PDM, be it the money that comes for the road, and everything that the government plans for the people in the Mutumba district is effected.
The last batch of 170 members of the 12th Parliament will be sworn in on Friday. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Thank you so much, Henry Okrut, for that story from Parliament. In more stories, Vice President retired Major Jessica Lupo has called on leaders in the Eastern region to unite and serve the people in their constituencies while improving their livelihoods. The Vice President was addressing at the inauguration ceremony dinner of the Sorority West Member of Parliament, Calvin David Ochodu, who assured the people of his constituency good service delivery while following the NRM manifesto in the next term.
After his swearing in at Parliament, Member of Parliament for Sorority West, Calvin David Ochodu, held an inauguration ceremony thanking the people of Sorority West for the milestone. The function was graced by the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Lupo, who tasked MP Ochodu to serve his people while following the party chairman guidance.
As we commence our responsibility and mandate, I would also like us to always remember that as we serve our people, let's always remember the guidance of His Excellency the President, that a leader is the one who serves the people based on the mass line, but most importantly, believing in the politics of interest versus the politics of identity. Let's serve our people regardless of gender, religion, regardless of tribe, color. Let's look at our people equally.
The Vice President emphasized unity and collaboration amongst all the Eastern leaders in order to uplift the region.
For us who have got the opportunity to be sent to serve this term, I call upon all of us to unite as leaders so that we can be able to serve our people in one voice. We speak one language, it will be faster and very simple for us to explain the programs of government.
The MP, Calvin David Echodu, presented to his people what he expects to achieve in the next term.
Very excited to work with you, to work with the people of Soroti, people of Eastern Uganda, to deliver on the manifesto the NRM promised on the people. A manifesto is a contract with the people, and we are going to do our best to try to deliver on those commitments.
The former Chief Justice, Alfonso Winyidoro, called on the Eastern Region leaders to use their offices in changing livelihoods of people in their constituencies.
As leaders, you need to know what have we not done which we ought to have done as a people, as a country, or as leaders.
Very, very smart, look very smart. We are wearing designer shirts, we are wearing neckties, good watches and shoes, but we come from an area where people are very, very poor.
Some members of parliament present assured the VP of good service delivery to the people of the Eastern region.
We must also follow the same suit to make sure that we shall not disappoint His Excellency Yoweri Museveni.
If we continue working together as the party ideologues or the party cadres, the national resistance movement will stay here for many more years as a revolutionary party. So it is important upon the young cadres of the national resistance movement to learn from us that I competed with Calvin Echodu, Honorable Calvin Echodu, during the SEC elections, but that time passed. We now must come together to work to build a party.
Lydia Chomkama and Dan Lugemwa, UBC News.
Thank you so much, Lydia and Dan Lugemwa. Former Prime Minister of Uganda, Amama Mbabazi, has urged Ugandans to strengthen ties with other African countries in order to promote unity and boost economic development across the continent. He made the remarks during a Thanksgiving and celebration ceremony organized for the newly sworn-in Member of Parliament for Chinchize East, Chris Badiomunsi, held at Kololo.
During the celebrations, Mbabazi emphasized the importance of African unity, saying that cooperation among African nations would help improve trade, development, and economic growth.
Leadership calls for fairness, inclusiveness, humility, and service to all people without discrimination. That's why we had such tremendous sacrifice over nearly 2 decades, fighting to restore people's right to choose their leaders. But once you're chosen,
Mbabazi also dismissed reports of any conflict between him and Dr. Chris Barriomos, saying the two leaders have never had any political differences, as alleged by some members of the public.
I had all sorts of stories in the past about me and Dr. Barriomos, which are not true, have never been true, and what people say will not happen, because those who know me know indeed what I represent.
Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for Kinkies East, Dr. Chris Barriomos, pledged improved service delivery to the people of Kinkies, promising to work harder than ever before to address their needs and improve life.
Otwire narabira mu bantu ba Kinkies East kugira ngo member wa parliament nkade gitamu ni muza kureba entaniso nandi mbagambira ati no mu parliament twatandika noja kuri amashanyarazi that debatinga aho kugamba ni kumanya mu parliament tisi z'abantu ba Kinkies East na ground muri Kinkies nitujya gukora nibitukozere tuongeremo n'amani bitakahikire bihikeho kandi turebe ngo umurimo gwarebeka.
To address their needs and improve livelihoods. Other dignitaries who attended the function also praised the Member of Parliament, describing him as a dedicated and hard-working leader committed to serving his constituencies.
Wherever I find someone and tells me
something negative about Chris. I said, do you talk about the person I know? What is this that you are talking about? Of course, Kalungu and Chigezi General, you still have a slight problem of politics of religion. People are still using religion to fight good people, which is so bad.
I've seen your vision, I've seen your commitment, I've seen your tireless work. Most of the time, whenever I meet him, I will only say one word: Honorable, take rest.
Susanina Bugudde, Michael Bakablindi, here for UBC News.
Thank you, Michael and Susan. In more stories, besides taking the oath, the 12th Parliament swearing-in ceremony, which is now on the second day, has on the other hand acted as a podium of entertainment and exhibition of colour, dress code, culture and tradition. These and other moments have lighted up this swearing-in ceremony, just like you're about to watch Robert Onyango report.
The swearing-in ceremony for members of the 12th Parliament has entered the second day.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Happening from the stairs of Parliament, the three-day event has been lit by exceptional appearances.
I, Amelia Ann Chamberde.
Each member of Parliament is entitled to accompaniment of a few accredited family members, and this moment comes in as a great historical moment. On its second day, the parliamentary swearing ceremony has been filled by moments of rise and shine.
And support and uphold the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda.
I, Cheyune Haruna Kasolo.
To most families, it is time to create memories which will live on for all years. When it comes to interlude, all is fine-tuned to befit the occasion. The interlude was fine-tuned beyond entertainment. In this queue, this is a moment that will have a place of abode in minds of many for the rest of their lives. If not alerted earlier, it is easy for everyone to misrepresent this year's MP's inauguration as a religious conference, as Christian and Muslim melodies filled the air. As if to others, such an occasion is a rare opportunity to bond and strengthen families. On the other hand, one might be tempted to believe this is a tribe and cultural gala. The swearing-in event automatically defines Uganda's cultural diversity. It was also time to display various dancing skills. This has been a competition. It was also a time to display various dancing skills, and had it been a competition, many would win in their categories. For the young children, one could tell they don't understand the depth of what is happening. However, it was difficult not to notice how they labored to fit into the occasion. To the married couples, taking the steps of Parliament nearly reminds them those moments when they walked down the aisle. The choice of the colour and attire is one aspect which speaks loudly about how the new members of Parliament have been preparing for this moment.
Great celebration right there. Now, still about day 2, the ceremony for members of the 12th Parliament has witnessed more calls for economic empowerment, especially among the youth. Of course, the legislators want the stakeholders to embrace the government interventions to grow the economy through collective participation. However, this can be achieved through policy changes which aligns with government actions with the needs, warfare and voice of the citizens. Daniel Mugoya reports.
The Day 2 swearing-in ceremony for members of Parliament kicked off with the momentum, setting the tone for the 12th Parliament.
I, Karim Masaba, swear in the name of the Almighty Allah that I'll give faithful service to this Parliament.
Komakech Christopher, swear in the name of the Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of Uganda.
Guided by alphabetical order, the sworn-in MPs included those who bounced back to the August House after losing in the previous elections.
In the people's livelihoods. The leadership that people have entrusted us with basically is about their own pride, the future of their children, the future of this nation. And so I hope as we legislate, as we represent them, as we appropriate or pass budgets, we must make it our business.
For example, hospital status, market, Fiji market, the ferry to one of the islands, and then of course extension of electricity and water. So that's why I'm back, and I feel that this is going to be Sanja no sleep. We have to work to serve the people.
That since the district council took a decision, a resolution to alleviate Bwendara County into a district, and the cabinet echoed the same demand, and the president has made 2 pledges in 2 elections, that's 2016 and even 2021 and 2026. In the next 5 years, I want to see Bwendara having a district status.
Continuity in service delivery, including enhancing health services, roads and electricity, remain top priority for most members of Parliament.
We even had to go through the sugar bill and now have a sugar law now. So now the second time we need to expand and work on extension of electricity and making sure we get 2 seed schools for my 2 sub-counties which don't have seed schools. Then we thank the president for the PDM agenda, but the whole issue we need to fight now is for markets. PDM has led for people to produce heavily, but we need now to put our attention on markets for our people to make sure we improve household incomes.
Forward to seeing laws that mainly support the local population. There are some laws that in Parliament, for example, we pass, and you look at the local population arguing out that these laws are not positively impacting on their lives. So in these 5 years, I look forward to seeing laws that are really impacting on the local person.
The gap between the people and service delivery, the detachment, and avoiding the reality. There has been a gap between my people, but also the national cake. But now I assure you that my people will reach the national cake, and the services will flow and will come down to the downer people.
Museveni knows we are lacking power, water, and the roads are in bad shape. So what I'll be doing is to make sure I work with the line ministries to see that every program that is there for my constituents, I follow it up as my role as a member of parliament, not a member of parliament, but a person who is going to do the oversight work.
But this calls for mobilizing Ugandans to be more productive in order to strike a balance with the government priorities.
Of course, peace and security is an enabler of everything you want to do in life.
Without peace, security, and stability in a country, you can never do anything. So legislation is part of the process that brings about peace and security and other developmental programs. And that is the work of Parliament: legislation, appropriation, and oversight. So we are ready to play those roles as given to us by the Constitution of Uganda.
Bukonzo West MP Crispus Kionga cites alcoholism among the factors affecting productivity, especially among the youth. Kionga also is against the critiques of the government programs.
Uganda, in the whole of Africa, is #1 in the consumption of alcohol. This is not a good reputation for us. So I'm going to use my position in Parliament, working with my colleagues, and we work on laws and mechanisms to reduce alcohol consumption. But now with time, with stability, with more work by the NRM, a new thinking is emerging. Hence, this time around, getting everybody, all the MPs who have been elected, 6 of us.
The MPs also push for a permanent solution to land grabbing and access to markets for the farmers' produce.
And I'm a representative of those youth that are in the village, especially the unemployed. I pledge to fight hard and fight unemployment among the youth in our constituency. Because even the few that have tried their best to start up businesses, they have all been demolished by the trade order. And above all, I come from a constituency where most of the people are farmers. I pray so hard that God helps me to fight for those farmers such that they find market, or we find market for their agricultural produce.
First of all, it is very shocking for a district with 3 water bodies to suffer with the drought. We have Lake Choga, we have River Kafo, we have River Rugogo. By the fact that we have 3 natural water bodies, we would have expected government to construct irrigation schemes for our people. But during the drought season, over 5 months, the whole period, people are non-productive. So we expect government, first of all, to come and give a budget for construction of irrigation schemes. We even have the fishing community, which are no longer accessing the lake. We expect that if government decides that people will not fish naturally, let them construct fish ponds and give business to those people in small societies of fish ponds. Yeah.
Another issue, we have the challenges of water, much as we are not far from Kampala. The challenges of electricity, much as we are not far from Kampala.
Congratulations to all the new members of Parliament for the 12th Parliament. In more stories, the ruling party, National Resistance Movement, mobilizers in Rukonjiri district have threatened peaceful demonstrations if the government fails to intervene in a dispute over 200 million Ugandan shillings in an unpaid campaign allowances. The mobilizers, who were hired by Ms. Peace Rugambwa, the senior presidential advisor on agriculture, to campaign for President Museveni and other party flag bearers during the 2026 general election, claimed their funds were released but subsequently swindled.
To enter in NRM party. So, as a team, where we were 8 people, we are demanding Madam Peace Rugambwa 10 millions, which we worked on that system of changing people from opposition to NRM up to now, and that money of 10 millions was the one, Peace Rugambwa was the one promising us to give us after elections.
We agree with Peace Rugambwa after elections, after President Museveni wins the elections. He promised us each person 10 millions after election. So we demand Peace Rugambwa that money for mobilization during the last election.
We are demanding her 2.4 billions because the people tried their level best to campaign for NRM flag bearers, and all flag bearers won elections. And the way how she promised us, we are demanding that money. Because people are demanding that money. Some of us chairpersons, we are no longer sleeping in our homes because people are coming to our homes demanding that money, and we don't have that money.
So nyowe nimbaje miliyoni zanje 10 zinakorire tukaba tugendese bijere tukaba tutamu transport yitu tukaba tubatine cyamushana twehereza cyamushana oshangana batushekerera baje ngo nashimwa bakujya mukorera president ruwa inesete ngo murya mpo numbona bona tumwine na mizi mbone nyine ndabumazima itombo bisi anshashire sente zanje miliyoni 10
abantu bagenzire bagura abantu ngo bijo banjume kompanya y'ikindi kumanyana kimwe ni nkora umurimo gwa president Museveni hamwe na Ruhanga abansigara baza mu byabo ko bararuhe nibaza kubireka Hona shibwe yo kuba president Museveni we akagambira umuntu ati ndondera karuru nkuhe miliyoni 10 nshibe nkuhe emotoka konkense mo Ruhango wantorine no mwesigwa kandi abo bagambire ngo tubari kurwana nanye barwana na Ruhango wantumire kandi barwana na president Museveni na wantire mu gwesugera hanga akamukoze safisire niyo nsima abantu barukunjira hamwe kuhereza karuru kabo.
In more stories, the Holy Father Pope Leo XIV has appointed His Excellency Most Reverend Thomas S. Grievances, titular Archbishop of Rubicon, as the new apostolic nuncio to Uganda. Thomas replaces the outgoing apostolic nuncio in Uganda, Archbishop Luigi Bianco. He served in the position from February 2019 until mid-2025. In this profile, Timothy Sibasi reports the past and the present of the new appointed Papal Nuncio to Uganda, Krista, and let's have a report.
Apostolic Nuncio to Uganda, His Excellency Most Reverend Thomas Grievances, has been Apostolic Nuncio to Madagascar, Seychelles, and the Republic of Mauritius, and Apostolic Delegate to Comoros and the La Réunion. Born on 16th October 1970 in Poznań, Poland, he was ordained priest for the Archdiocese of Poznań on 25th May 1995. The new Apostolic Nuncio to Uganda has a doctorate in canon law. He entered the diplomatic service of the Holy See on 1st July 2001, having served in different pontifical representations in Russian Federation, India, Belgium, Mexico, Brazil, UN Permanent Mission in the New York, Israel, and Apostolic Delegation in Jerusalem and Palestine. He was appointed Apostolic Nuncio to Madagascar and Apostolic Delegate to Comoros and La Réunion on 27th September 2022. Subsequently, he was also appointed Apostolic Nuncio to the Seychelles on 9th February 2023, and then to the Republic of Mauritius on 21st March 2023.
We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more stories on UBC TV.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando. Omuliro nguwulira muli mu mutima gukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata, enendungu yakusabula. Mikono juu, free of fire, free of fire, free of fire. It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution, or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone, or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312-206-400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
It's back, bigger, and with more business opportunities. It's the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate 2026, Uganda's flagship tourism event. Poate 2026 will take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May 2026 at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, under the theme Wanderlust. It's your time to thrive. Yes, it's your time to tap into Uganda's renewed optimism and tourism growth. Tourism stakeholders, travel trade partners, and tourism enthusiasts will be part of the Poate 2026. Come and network with like-minded people and unlock new business opportunities. To participate, register at www.poate.co.ug. Poate 2026 is brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board and partners.
We'll come back from that short commercial break. You're still watching UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon Chomdusha and Mugalu Mohammed on Sign Language. In more stories, the Africa Center for Disease Control Continental Plan for Sickle Cell has been launched to guide the interventions geared at reducing the burden of sickle cell disease and other rare blood disorders in Africa. Now, stakeholders described the plan as a great milestone towards a coordinated continental response on the sickle cell disease and other rare blood diseases or disorders like you're about to witness.
Sickle cell disease and other rare disease disorders remain a challenge, especially to the African continent. In Uganda, a 2015 to 2018 National Sickle Cell Survey shows that 0.73% of the population has the disease, and about 17,000 to 20,000 babies are born with sickle cell each year, and 75% to 80% die before the age of 5. Now, the African Union member states and key stakeholders convened in Kampala to witness the launch of Africa Center for Disease Control Continental Plan for Sickle Cell and other rare disease disorders.
But it's just the beginning of a promise for our continent. A promise to over 300,000 children born with sickle cell disease in Africa alone every year.
The plan will see a coordinated continental response on sickle cell disease and other rare blood disorders in terms of early diagnosis, care, and prevention.
It aims to coordinate the work we are doing so that we are working at scale. We are saving resources in the spirit of the Lusaka agenda.
Uganda's Ministry of Health commended the initiative and reaffirmed government's commitment towards the implementation of the plan.
To finalize and operationalize a national sickle cell disease strategic plan that fully aligns with this continental plan, ensuring that Uganda's response is evidence-based, adequately resourced, and institutionally anchored.
Integration of indicators of sickle cell disease
and other inherited blood disorders into DHIS2 should be phase 1. It should be minimum standard.
Heads of the African Union member states have now been challenged to embrace the implementation of the plan in order to reduce the burden of sickle cell disease and other rare blood disorders in Africa.
Great initiative right there. Still about health, medical personnel at Aga Khan University Hospital Nakawa have advocated for early cancer screening for quick diagnosis. These cite how cancer patients tend to know about their status at a late stage that can't be cured. The hospital also called on partnerships from the private health sector or care hospitals with government to assist the Uganda Cancer Institute in cancer treatment. Take a look.
Aga Khan University Hospital has conducted a media engagement on cancer prevention, early management and awareness. According to the hospital statistics, Uganda registers about 36,000 new cancer cases annually, with about 25,000 deaths and 77,000 individuals living with cancer.
The number of new people die from cancer every year. Of course, there are those who have not died, who are living with cancer.
The hospital advocates for early cancer screening, for early detection, for quick intervention.
Most of the patients who have cancer come at a late stage, stage 3 or stage 4, whereby the aim of treatment is now to just struggle with the disease and prolong life and maybe put someone in palliative care. But if cancer is got at an early stage, which is stage 1 or stage 2, actually it can be cured.
Experts recall cervical cancer being the leading cancer in women, killing 41%. Despite the available HPV vaccine, there are few challenges that call for interventions.
You may find that the treatment that you need for your particular cancer, you can't afford it. Staff shortage, the doctors who treat cancer are called oncologists. There are very few, and also there are specific nurses who treat cancer.
The hospital also showcased some of its cancer treatment equipment used at the facility and called on the private health institutions to collaborate with the government in supporting the Uganda Cancer Institute in handling the increasing number of cancer patients.
At Aga Khan, we do health education. We take part in outreaches to basically treat people and also to teach people about cancer and prevention. But also, we have the cancer unit for treatment of cancer.
Lydia Chomkama and Stephen Kalisa, UBC News.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Sports, Dr. Kedra Studiagenda, has challenged teachers and head teachers to become professional and transformational leaders anchored in Christ and committed to excellence, integrity and impactful service. Dr. Studiagenda made the remarks while officiating opening the 5th Annual Education Convention organized by the Diocese of Lango at St. Catherine Girls' School in Lira District.
Do the bit.
Hundreds of teachers, head teachers, church leaders and education stakeholders have converged at St. Catherine Girls Secondary School in Lira City for the 5th Annual Education Convention organized by the Diocese of Lango, aimed at strengthening faith-centered learning and improving education standards in the region.
To have the biggest contribution to this young person to be the person of integrity, because you have this child 9 months out of 12.
Drawing from my experience rising from a classroom teacher to the top administrative office in the Education Ministry, Dr. Kedres Turiagenda challenged school leaders to embrace 4 principles of leadership, including excellence, faithfulness, result-orientedness, and integrity.
In that way, we shall produce young people who have the appropriate competencies.
Dr. Kedres Turiagenda announced that government is preparing to roll out a competence-based curriculum for primary schools and A-level aimed at equipping learners with the practical skills for the world of work.
What the world needs is not a piece of paper called a qualification.
The permanent secretary further urged teachers to understand Uganda's national vision and actively contribute towards transforming the country through the quality of education.
You can never achieve a vision that you don't know.
Bishop of Lango Diocese Professor Alfred Olwa said the convention is intended to encourage teachers and improve learning standards across schools under the diocese.
So here we study scripture, we pray together, and we talk about education.
The Diocese of Lango currently oversees 180 primary schools, 30 secondary schools, 5 vocational institutions, and 1 university. According to the bishop, modern education must focus on both cognitive and practical skills to prepare learners for the future.
Because these learners, they need to learn both academically, but also they need the cognitive and psychomotor learning.
For me,
over the next 2 days, stakeholders will discuss faith-based learning, education policies and strategies for transforming learners into responsible and productive citizens.
Board of Governors and Management Committee should know the central position here that the child is at the center.
I would like us to commit ourselves to do things differently.
This reminds us of the silent things under management and governance and makes us better administrators.
However, 8 teachers also appealed to government to address challenges including old school structures, inadequate laboratory facilities and salary disparities among teachers. Edi Ulwa, UBC News.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando, like a daily bando. Omuliro nguwulira muli mu mutima kukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata, enendungu yakusabula. Mikono juu, free of fire, free of fire, free of fire.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight, and from the business desk, the Bank of Uganda has kept its benchmark lending rate unchanged at 9.75%, signaling confidence in the country's economic recovery despite growing uncertainty from the rising global oil prices and geopolitical tensions in the Middle East.
The decision to maintain the central bank rate at 9.75% follows the monetary policy committee meeting where policymakers noted that inflation remains below the government's medium-term target even as fuel costs begin to push prices upwards. It comes at a time when Uganda, like many economies around the world, is facing uncertainty linked to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which has triggered higher global oil prices and increased pressure on domestic prices.
The near-term inflation outlook has been revised upwards, with core inflation projected to range from 5 to 5.3% over the next 12 months. Over the medium term, the effects of the oil shock are expected to ease gradually, and inflation is projected to stabilize around the target of 5%.
Over the 12 months to April 2026, Uganda's inflation remained below the Bank of Uganda's medium-term target of 5%.
Inflation remained below the medium-term target of 5%, reflecting continued effectiveness of monetary policy. Annual headline and core inflation averaged 3.4 and 3.5% respectively. However, the conflict in the Middle East has resulted in significantly higher global oil prices and heightened uncertainty surrounding the economic outlook.
However, inflation showed signs of picking up in April as effects of rising fuel and energy prices began filtering through the economy.
Although the Ugandan economy continues to face challenges arising from the global developments and geopolitical uncertainty, it remains on an upward trajectory. Real economic growth strengthened in the first half of 2025/2026, supported by broad-based improvements across the agriculture, industry, and services sectors.
The central bank warns that the continued rise in global oil prices could lead to broader increases in the cost of goods and services in the coming months.
Future monetary policy decisions will remain firmly data-dependent and guided by the evolving outlook and balance of risks. As the outlook evolves, the Bank of Uganda stands ready to take appropriate actions as necessary.
In an effort to manage liquidity and keep inflation expectations under control, the Bank of Uganda recently increased the cash reserve requirement for commercial banks to 11% from 9.5% in March this year.
The Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda hosted the 4th C-Suite Forum at Sheraton Hotel, Kampala, bringing together top executives, policymakers and industry leaders to discuss the growing role of artificial intelligence in transforming business and economic growth. Held under the theme Harnessing AI for Strategic Decision-Making to Spur Growth and Competitiveness, the forum focused on how to organize and these organizations can leverage emerging technologies to improve efficiency, innovation and competitiveness in an increasingly digital world.
The 4th forum of its kind attracted participants from both the public and private sectors, including finance professionals, corporate executives, technological experts, and government representatives. Discussions centered on the adoption of artificial intelligence in strategic planning, data-driven decision-making, digital transformation, and the future of leadership in a rapidly evolving business environment.
The competitive weapon, we all can't underestimate the value or the importance of brand equity in enterprise value. We all know that. So AI again can support that. Yeah? So organizations actually in the room that will adopt earliest will make better decisions, manage risk earlier, and allocate capital more efficiently than those that wait.
The managing director of DFCU Bank, Charles Mudiwa, emphasized the need for organizations to embrace innovation while ensuring responsible and ethical use of AI technologies.
So when we talk about this thing, like I said at the beginning, let's think of it as a tool that helps us achieve what we want to do. And there are a couple of things that are important for us to be worried about. Number one, AI is not a strategy. It is a tool. You have your business strategy, you use AI to execute your strategy.
The Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda say the forum is part of ongoing efforts to strengthen professional dialogue and prepare Ugandan businesses and institutions for the opportunities and challenges presented by technological advancements.
It is an opportunity to engage with thought leaders, industry experts, and peers who share a commitment to advancing the standards of leadership and management in our different institutions.
The event also provided a platform for networking, collaboration, and sharing insights on how Uganda can position itself competitively within the global digital economy.
We realize that every one of you is a leader, and organizations can only thrive or make impact for our economy when the strong roles of chiefs, especially the chief finance officer, the chief internal auditor, and in harmony with the chief executive officer.
The annual C-Suite Forum continues to serve as a key platform for thought leadership, bringing together decision makers to address emerging trends shaping the corporate and economic landscape.
Common 50 series, perfect snap, any zoom. Enjoy 9 GB free MTN data valid for 3 months. Available in any Techno or MTN outlet near you. MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Well, from the sports desk, the president of the Uganda Olympic Committee and Commonwealth Games Uganda, Dr. Donald Rukari, addressed the media on Uganda's preparations for major international sporting events due later this year. Take a look.
Dr. Rukari confirmed that Uganda will participate in the 4th Summer Youth Olympic Games in Dakar, Senegal, scheduled for October 31st to November 13th, 2026. Uganda will field a team in athletics, table tennis, cycling, swimming, badminton, and rowing. He noted that all teams are currently in intensive training ahead of the Games.
Preparations are ongoing, and we thank National Council of Sports that has provided some support to the federations. From our side, we have some of the athletes who are on scholarships, so those also are much as the Olympic scholarships, but some of them will be able to hopefully, if their federations select them, because some of them it's open selection, others it's qualification. The netball team, we're looking forward to them going far. Africa, the basketball 3-on-3, Africa champions, I think they're still 1 or 2, so we're hoping they'll do well.
On the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games, Dr. Rukari revealed that Team Uganda will send a delegation of 53 athletes, 35 of whom will be women, 18 men, and will also have 5 para-athletes. These athletes will compete in athletics, basketball, boxing, judo, netball, swimming, para-swimming, track cycling, weightlifting, and para-powerlifting during the Games set for July 23rd to August 2nd, 2026.
Of course, Uganda has a rich history of not only participating but competing at the Games, so we are fielding a strong team and we believe our team will do well.
Meanwhile, the Olympic Detoke Run will take place in Bushenyi on June 30th under the theme of Move, Learn, Discover with Nutrition Care.
We're looking at about between 100 and 200 million shillings from the proceeds to support that team in preparation and also their travel to a successful event in October.
Funds raised will support Ugandan athletes preparing for Dakar and Glasgow.
And that's all we had for you in this hour. Do join me later on at 10 p.m. for more news coming your way. My name is Sharon Chondusha with Mugalu Mohammed on Sign Language.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. Qualified, professional, and compassionate doctors talking real solutions to real health problems.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to our week's favorite show, the Doc Talk Show. Dr. Joseph Gavin Nyanzi, your host. Thank you so much for allowing us into your homes this evening, and we are here yet again at the very, very important topic of our lives, and that is health. We've all heard the statement that your health is your wealth. That means that your wealth is determined to a very big extent by your health. And so my team and I are here to make sure that actually we discuss that issue and see how we can make you better by empowering you with information that is up to date. And that topic this evening is something that is with us every day of our lives. Actually, from day one, a few minutes after you're born, it is something that is very, very crucial. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce to us a friend. And I just learned this evening that actually our guest tonight happens to be my old boy from high school, Jimmy Osret. We were together in the school, Uganda Matazes Namgongo. So it's been a joy. Even before we got onto air, we've been catching up a lot of memories from that school. And I know he's going to do our topic justice this evening. Jimmy Osret, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Good evening, viewers.
A little bit about Jimmy. Jimmy Osret is a public health specialist, is a research associate with Makerere University School of Public Health, and is here to address our topic this evening. And the topic we're going to talk about tonight is the topic of, you guessed it, food. And you could be asking yourself, what about food don't I know? Probably I brought to your memory that actually a few minutes after you're born, it is very recommended that you begin to feed straight away. And that determines your health, determines your brain power, among many other things. In primary school, we are taught about a balanced diet. We all remember vitamins, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, etc. And these are very important segments of our development, of our development as human beings. Food is a very important factor. Jimmy, food. We've been talking about food since we were little.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and I thought today we really need to talk about food safety in our country, in our generation. Please, your views about food and food safety, balanced diet, yes.
Thank you very much for the introduction. But before I go into having a conversation around food safety, let me start by commending the producers of this show, the Doc Talk Show. The discussions that are held on this platform generate information that is so relevant to the public out there. The public is able to make informed decisions about their lifestyles, about their health. And in the long run, we shall have people having and living a quality life. And Joseph, This contributes to the national development plans,
Wow.
which has an aspect of ensuring that we live quality lives. Concerning food safety, the meaning of food safety is that the food that is consumed by people is free from harmful substances. The food that you consume is of quality that is acceptable for consumption. By the term free from contaminants, I mean that the food is free from pathogens, and these pathogens could be bacteria, these pathogens could be viruses, and they could also be parasites.
Fungal.
Fungal, indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Additionally, we want people to consume food that is also free from chemical contaminants.
Wow.
As we shall be discussing moving forward, there is a pervasive use of agrochemicals in the agriculture industry, and we shall look at its role in compromising the quality of food.
Yeah.
By and large, food safety is the assurance that the food that we consume will not cause harm to the consumers.
In other words, the question we are going to be answering tonight, that we're going to be talking about, is whether what we consume in our homes, at our workplaces, in our schools, at the pitch while we are playing soccer, playing with friends, is safe for our bodies. That's what you're trying to talk about.
Oh, yes.
Please carry on.
So, as we delve more into this interesting topic of food, I like to start by making a statement that food, building on what Joseph has said, food is paramount for life. And because it's paramount for life, it is a fundamental human right that to ensure that it is safe.
Wow.
However, we are noticing there is a burden as a result of food safety. The statistics show that hundreds of millions of people suffer from food-related illnesses. And of that, annually, that is globally, we have over 430,000 people dying from food-borne illnesses.
Say that again. How many others?
430,000 people dying from food-borne illnesses. So
wow. That
we
is
cannot
quite
take
a
this
big number.
lightly.
So your food is very, very important. For close to 500,000 people die. Did you say annually?
Annually.
Because of things related with food. Listen in. Yes, Jimmy, please, take it on.
Worse still, the burden of this problem is more pronounced among those that are less than 5 years of age. And this is the age group that is grappling with nutritional related challenges, and we need to do something about this problem. The other point I want to make in trying to discuss the burden of food-related illnesses is the fact that there are issues of lost productivity if you're unwell.
Yeah.
There are issues around medical costs in managing illnesses. So all these are some of the indirect effects of consuming food that is of low quality.
That means very, very paramount that the food you're ingesting or the food you're taking in is of a good quality that may not bring harm to your body. Because if you're taking in food of substandard quality, you are causing more problems. You're eating up on your finances in case you get ill from poor quality feeding. Yes, Jimmy.
And one thing I wanted to mention in terms of the statistics, we lose billions of dollars in managing health-related costs as a result of these foodborne illnesses. This is a global estimate of the burden. Additionally, the most common foodborne illness is diarrhea, in addition to the other illnesses that we shall be discussing furthermore. And the statistics show that we have over 550 million people who suffer from this illness globally.
That is a very, very huge number of people suffering from illness because of food, poor quality food. And that's a lot of money that is being spent on managing these issues. Jimmy, thank you for bringing up this. And we are going to take a short break. Please, we'll be back in a moment.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando, like a daily bando, like a daily bando. Yeah, yeah. Omuliro nguwulira muli mumutima kukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata. Enendungu ya kusabula. Mikono juu. Free of fire, free of fire, free of fire.
You are watching the Doc Talk Show.
Welcome back. We are here. Dr. Joseph Gavin Nyanzi, your host tonight on the Doc Talk Show. We are also live on our social media platforms. That is the Doc Talk Show on YouTube, the Doc Talk Show on Facebook, the Doc Talk Show on Twitter. Get to those platforms, subscribe to our platforms, and please share the link. Share the link, please. Share the link with your friends and family. This is very important information we are discussing tonight. Food safety. There is no home in this country, there is no home in the world that doesn't have issues to do with food. So please invite your friends and let's empower each other this evening. Jimmy, we kicked off from the point of the huge number of people in hundreds of millions that are affected annually because of issues to do with food, poor quality food. Yes, what brings about the poor quality food?
So, Joseph, for us to understand that, we need to look at the food chain. We need to understand the events that food goes through from the farm to the table, identifying the entry point for contaminants. So let us start by looking at what happens on the farm. You will notice that heavy metals are introduced at the point of farming. Currently, fertilizers, pesticides. And the reason as to why they are using agrochemicals is because they need to address the increasing demand of food due to the population growth. So use of chemicals is one of the entry points for food contaminants. And these heavy metals are quite stable in the environment. For instance, lead is stable. Mercury, arsenic are some of the chemicals that are used.
What do you mean that they are stable?
So it means that they cannot be broken down.
Oh, they stay in the environment for a very long time.
For a long time.
Okay.
And the plants take it up, and when you consume these plants, they accumulate in your body, and they have been implicated in causing quite a number of cancers. Still within the farm, there are issues to deal with the quality of the seedlings that are used. There is a common problem of aflatoxins, and aflatoxins are a kind of fungal metabolites and
fungal particles
that, when consumed, could damage our liver. And they have been implicated in groundnuts, in maize and cassava, and majority of the staple foods that we consume.
Do the aflatoxins get in on the farm or after the food has left the farm?
So it's two-way. Within the farm, It could occur during the storage and the mixing.
Okay.
When we mix the various foods, we increase the risk of contamination. Additionally, even along the transportation, how are food products transported? You'll find that there is mixing of foods with animal products, and this could increase the risk or compromise the risk to food contamination. There is a point I also wanted to highlight on the pervasive abuse of the use of drugs in human drugs
Okay.
in treating animals. And
I've had like ARVs being used in piggeries. I've had like antibiotics, human antibiotics being used on cattle, on chicken, yeah, something like that.
Oh yes, yes, and all this contributes to the complexities of the burden of the problem that we're seeing.
So that means these drugs, human drugs, when they are consumed by these animals, actually they keep in the bodies of the animals, and when that food in form of meat, beef or chicken, when it's introduced in our systems, these drugs are already there.
Oh,
and
yes.
they can predispose one to resistance, among other things.
Yes, hence the term antimicrobial resistance.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you for pointing out that. So beyond the transportation, if we are to look at what happens within the markets where the food is kept, where the food is sold at, you also notice contaminants are introduced through mixing of foodstuffs, and also the conditions as to where these foods have been stored could increase the risk of contamination. The hot and humid conditions also further worsen this problem here.
Okay.
So that is part of the food chain. However, towards the end of the food chain, and that is at the consumer stage or step, you will notice
our homes.
Now that is within our homes.
Okay.
There are issues to deal with hygiene
Okay.
that increase the risk of the foodborne illnesses. For instance, mixing raw meat with vegetables could increase the risk of some of these diarrheal diseases. You've heard of these pathogens called salmonella. They are introduced during mixing of foodstuffs. And this has now implications for control measures on how best to mitigate the risk at various stages across the food chain.
Okay. So you don't encourage mixing meats with vegetables?
We highly discourage mixing raw foods with ready-to-eat foods.
Okay.
Because of the risk of pathogens that could be introduced to the foods.
I was getting a little scared. I was like, are we going to do away with food? We stop eating food? How do we, in our families, make sure that actually our food is safe? You talked about aflatoxins. You've talked about the intoxication from the meat products through the drugs and all that. Isn't the boiling in our homes enough, on our charcoal stoves, on our gas cookers? Can that help to get our food ready for eating?
So some of the pathogens are thermotolerant. It means that they are resistant to heat.
Okay.
So we need to take measures from inception of the food chain to ensure that control measures are introduced within the farm, along the transportation, and also good hygiene practices are ensured, that is within our households.
Okay.
Yes. And of course, boiling is recommended. Yes.
Wow. And what is coming out very clearly to avoid what I'm hearing from Jimmy, okay, the nutritionists tell us we should eat our vegetables raw. But what I'm hearing from you, it is not very safe. We should have some heating of our vegetables just in case there are some contaminants. Is that right?
Not necessarily heating of vegetables. We need to put measures to lessen or mitigate the risk of cross-contamination. Vegetables eaten raw are at increased risk of foodborne illnesses if there is contamination.
Okay.
The risk is at contamination. However, if measures are put in place, then it is okay to eat our vegetables. And these are hygiene practices. These have issues to deal with storage and proper handling of food.
Surprising that actually the food we carry from our markets, the food we carry from the grocery shops, could be having a lot of contamination in them, and we are carrying these to our homes. So we need to give extra care the way we keep these foods at home and the way we prepare them to be eaten. And Jimmy is still here with us, and we're going to be discussing more after a short break. Please keep tuned in.
You are watching the Doc Talk Show.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando, like a daily bando, like a daily bando. Omuliro nguwulira muli mu mutima kukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata, enendungu yakusabula. Mikono juu, free of fire, free of fire, free of fire.
You are watching the Doc Talk Show.
Dr. Joseph Gavin Nyanzi, your host tonight, and tonight we're talking about food and how to make sure that actually the food we take in is safe for you and your family members. Reminding you again about our social media platforms, the Doc Talk Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and actually we are airing live now. Please share the link with your family and friends, your old B's and OGs. Let them come and let's empower ourselves concerning health. And in the studio tonight with me is a public health specialist, Jimmy Osuret, and he's been telling us about food and its safety, and we are continuing. Jimmy, wow, you've talked about the food chain right from the farm, storage, and into our homes. And I was getting a little scared. Is there hope, or actually we stop eating food? Because I'm very, very scared, and I guess somebody watching me there is also scared about food. What is the way forward? For example, I've had a concern about the eggs we consume. You know, probably the nutritionist will tell us the eggs we consume, a big number of Ugandans consume eggs. Every stand, in every town, there's a Rolex stand. You know, how do we make sure that actually we are safe? The eggs, you know, for example, if I consume rice, we can know that this rice is made maybe from barley, picked from barley. How do we follow up the eggs? There are many farms all over the country. How do we make sure that actually these different foods that we take are safe for me and my family?
Thank you for raising up that concern. Indeed, there are issues around preservation of foods. For instance, if eggs are stored poorly, they would be at risk of going bad. Molds would grow on them, and this would introduce foodborne related illnesses. So what's the way forward on this? Issues of food safety need regulation.
Okay.
Issues of food safety need control measures to be put in place. And in Uganda, we have quite a number of systems that can help us with that. For instance, we have the Uganda National Bureau of Standards that is mandated with coming up with standards for food as well as standards for other products, both processed and ready-to-eat foods. So we need to work within this. Additionally, we have the Kampala Capital City Authority, for those that are within Kampala, that has a Directorate of Public Health that has come up with measures on how to regulate food premises. Food premises could be restaurants that supply foods to the public.
Chapati stalls?
Oh, yes. So still on that point of the stalls, before someone establishes a food premise, a stall as an example, they need to get certification from the relevant authority within their area of operation.
Does this really happen?
Oh yes, this
Yeah.
happens.
Okay.
And a good example is if you walk into a food establishment, try to look out for a certificate displayed at the entrance. And that is an example that they have been
I'm
certified.
thinking about the Rolex guy by the roadside. Do they get certification to operate those stalls?
So we have a challenge where we have the makeshift kind of businesses, people trying to find livelihood, people trying to find a way of survival. And you'll notice not all of them are registered. So how do we go about with helping them, given that they also make a contribution to providing food? Much as they do that, we need to ensure that they work within the relevant food safety frameworks.
I've just remembered, at the beginning of COVID, and when we were enforcing the SOPs, people cracked jokes. I saw a picture how people are like, the chapati nowadays are tasting even much different from before. So there's that element of how do we ensure that actually the chapatis we consume, because that's really a big contribution to the food we take in the chapatis. Stalls everywhere. What are some of the practical things to ensure that actually the chapatis we consume from these stalls are safe for me and my family to take?
So, as I come to answer that, for a food handler to be certified to handle food or prepare food for the public, there is a checklist of items that they need to fulfill. Issues around availability of clean and wholesome water, issues around how the refuse is going to be managed, issues around measures in place to minimize risk. However, you'll notice that those are not in place. So this has been left to you and I. This has been left to everyone to collectively come and find a way forward. And a practical way forward is for us to ensure that food handlers are regulated and given a supportive environment, because of course they also contribute to livelihoods in their homes. So how do we regulate them? How do we ensure that this information on good hygiene practices reaches them? Issues of awareness creation are very, very pertinent to them.
Wow. We've really emphasized so much on the ready-to-eat food from our farms. But there is a big portion of food that actually is processed. You know, every time I move around, when I'm watching TV or listening to radio, there are more than 500 drinks that are out in the shops, in the market for Ugandans to consume. What is your take? What is the qualified drink for me, a processed drink for me and my family? What should I be looking out for? What food is safe for me? What drink is safe for me and my family? To the viewer that is listening right now and watching us tonight.
Thank you, Joseph, for raising that important point. I must say that factories or industries that are producing food or processing foods have to work within an established framework. And this framework is given to them by the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. So one of the things that we look out for is whether these products are certified by the authority in the country, which is the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. So what it does, they usually take samples of these drinks and do tests to them to look out for whether they are microbes or agents that bring about food contamination. And once they pass this, they are allowed to carry on. Additionally, Also within the structure, we have what we call health inspectors.
Okay.
These are competent authority who are mandated to go and visit these factories and industries and see that they are following standard operating procedures when it comes to producing the drinks that we consume.
In other words, for the consumer out there, when it comes to processed foods, we are at the mercy of the law and the law enforcers. As an individual, there is so little I can do to determine which drink to take and not to take.
Additionally, I may not say that entirely. So when you go to the supermarkets or the shops to buy the drinks, we should also look out for the shelf life. There are expiry dates that are indicated in there. We should look out for the way the foods are stored, because storage would also compromise the quality. A product may have left the factory in a wholesome way, but the way it is handled would compromise its quality.
Okay.
Yes.
Food is very, very crucial. We will be breaking off for a minute and we'll be back. Thank you very much.
You are watching the Doc Talk Show.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules, plant extract, scientific ratio, take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day, don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
You are watching the Doc Talk Show.
Thank you for allowing us in your homes this evening. And yeah, we've been talking about food and its safety, and we all know that it's very, very important in our development as human beings. And we are live on our social media platforms, the Doc Talk Show on YouTube, the Doc Talk Show on Facebook and Twitter. Please follow us, like our pages, subscribe, and invite your friends. Share that link. They cannot miss out on this very important information. In studio with me tonight is Mr. Jimmy Osret, a public health specialist, and is here to empower us about why food safety is very important for you and my family. And Jimmy, you know, for about 2 years now, it's been about COVID. Everything that we do is done in light of COVID. Everything to do with life, world over. The recent Olympics, COVID determined the flow of things. So even as we've been treating COVID for the last 2 years, food has been a very important aspect. So I would love you to really tell our viewers, how is food safety or food hygiene very important even as we stay safe, because COVID is still around us? How do we keep safe even with our food and fight on this battle?
Thank you, Joseph, for highlighting that. Of course, we are in times where we are suffering or experiencing the challenges related to COVID. During the first lockdown, you remember measures were put in place to try and mitigate COVID. Some of the measures included the closure of food premises, restaurants, and the like. However, we have realized some benefits from the measures that have been put in place to lessen the effects of COVID, issues to deal with hand washing, have actually had unanticipated benefits. If you notice, diarrheal diseases like cholera have gone down.
Very, very
and,
much.
If you also notice that before you enter any establishment, before you enter any premise, you need to have your hands washed.
So you would say that is the blessing in disguise, the good thing about COVID.
Oh yes, and as a country we are grappling with issues of hand hygiene. It was an area that was being taken for granted, but with enforcement supported by awareness, there is increased uptake of hand washing, and these are some of the benefits from the measures of COVID-19.
Wow. In a way, this has helped to contribute to food hygiene, because I know one of the ways through which we have gotten food contaminated is at the place of ingesting the food. I'm reminded of the 4Fs. Do you remember the 4Fs?
Oh yes.
Let's go.
We have the food, we have the fingers, we have the flies. Crown it up with the last one.
Everybody watching us knows the last one. So it is very, very, very crucial. Each one of us watching, hand hygiene and food safety are inseparable. So even one of the things we can contribute on individual basis is washing our hands very regularly. And that has not been ever overemphasized like it has been in the last 2 years because of COVID. So Jimmy, we will be coming to a close soon. What is the way forward? Call to action. What should I do as a consumer to stay safe? What should I do as a consumer to keep my children safe, even while they're at school, while they're at home? I know for now most of them are at home. How can we stay safe?
Oh yes, thank you for raising this issue of the way forward. I like that you call it a call to action. So these are recommendations. And I'm going to request that we thematize them and look at the role of government.
Okay.
Then we also look at the role of the industry, the role of the consumer,
individual,
and as well as the role of academia. But I must say that these don't work in isolation. We need to appreciate the concept of multi-sectoral collaboration if we are to address the challenges of food safety. Earlier on, I shared on the contribution of the farmers to the problem, the transporters, as well as the markets and the consumers. So all of us have a role to play. So I have to reinforce this. Dealing with food safety has to involve everyone's contribution. Government, what can the government do? One, the government needs to put in place infrastructure to support food safety. For instance, we should have laboratories where food tests can be done in restaurants, in hospitals, to see if the quality of food is maintained.
I don't know if there are any laboratories outside Kampala that actually do food safety tests.
So we have some laboratories outside Kampala, within the districts. Oh yes, they have, we call them water quality testing laboratories.
Oh, okay. That is
so
good.
They look out for fecal contamination in water. But we need to beef up that infrastructure.
So for my village in Arua, I don't have to come to Kampala to test the food. It can be done in
within the local government in Arua. So, but we need to beef it up with more infrastructure. So that's what the government can do. The government can also support in enforcement. But we believe enforcement works well if there's a component of awareness creation. How do we give the right information to food handlers to take on good hygiene practices? So this is paramount. Also within the government, they are mandated with certification for the industries, for the food premises, to ensure that before they start business, they meet all the minimum food safety requirements. So government has a critical role to play. Then let me move onto the consumers, that is we who eat food.
The people watching us tonight.
And as consumers, we have a critical role to play. Number one, within our premises, we need to ensure that we follow the recommended food preservation guidelines to ensure that the food that we buy is kept, that is within its original state and does not go stale or bad. So it's quite critical. Then issues of hand washing, issues of washing vegetables before you eat them raw, proper cooking of meat, fish, to ensure that the bacteria that are in are killed. We also recommend that. Then also, most importantly, research and academia have a role to play. That is when it comes to addressing the challenges that we see, specifically for food safety. As researchers, we generate a wealth of information out there that could benefit policymakers. So we are moving into a time where decisions have to be informed with the best available evidence. Countries that have moved or progressed far in ensuring food safety are those that have embraced the contribution of research in evidence-based decision making. So those are quite critical issues that I felt I needed to bring out up front.
Wow, that is quite an amount of good information for us this evening. And I remember at the beginning we were told that actually evidence shows that annually we spend in hundreds of billions of dollars to treat conditions that are associated with ingestion or consuming of contaminated food. So this is a very critical point. And Jimmy has been shedding a lot of light on this, and he has really emphasized your place as a consumer, your role on how you can make sure that actually you take in food that is free of contaminants, both processed food and food that is ready to eat. So our call to action tonight is very important for you, our viewers. Let's continue to emphasize the hand washing. Let's continue to emphasize to getting processed foods from the right places and looking at the container to see that actually the date is correct, to see that actually that particular food, drink is safe for you and your family members. Please keep the questions running in our social media handles and we'll be glad to respond to those questions. It's been a wonderful evening with you. Jimmy, parting shots?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. As I mentioned at the start, we need to ensure that the right information is out there to the public such that they make informed decisions. Secondly, the information and discussions that we have on this platform is relevant to policymakers. They could get one or two key takeaway messages that they could use in making decisions that will advance our country in Uganda as we aspire to move to a modern country within the next 30 years as detailed in the National Development Plan. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Jimmy, for this great information tonight. I hope you've been empowered. Personally, I've been empowered and I know what I'm going to do after this and what I should leave out. Once again, Dr. Joseph Gavin Nyanzi has been your host tonight. Thank you very much. See you next Thursday.
The Doc Talk Show.
I know what Uganda needs. When General Caleb Akantwanaho retired, Salim Saleh presented his long, detailed analysis of Uganda's economy and structured recommendations for improvement in the form of the Third National Development Plan, NDP-3, to President Museveni. He laid out the kinds of problems that many Ugandans feel every day, but rarely see captured in one place. He was doing what he has done for years, breaking down the problems holding back ordinary Ugandans. He talked about distortions in factors of production, such as land conflicts that choke investment, the high cost of finance for ordinary people, the shortage of skills among youth, the slow pace of value addition, and the gap between production in the villages and the factories in industrial parks. It was the kind of diagnosis a technocrat offers when trying to get a country unstuck. The president's reply was striking in its simplicity. I know what Uganda needs. At first, to others, it might have sounded almost dismissive, but when placed in the context of 40 years of state rebuilding, economic reform, and political stability, it revealed something deeper, a belief that Uganda's path to transformation has been consistent, deliberate, and informed by lived experience rather than theory. His confidence is not based on guesswork. It's based on the journey already traveled. He always stresses that any serious revolutionary discussion about the economy of Uganda, or indeed much of Africa, should include the following questions. 1. What was the economy of Uganda like in 1900, at the dawn of colonialism? 2. What was the economy of Uganda like in 1962, at the sunset of colonialism? 3. How and what was the magnitude of the collapse of the Ugandan economy between 1971 and 1986? Idi Amin, Obote II, Okello. 4. What, therefore, was the economy of Uganda like in 1986? 5. What is the Ugandan economy like today, and why?
About PDM, we did the community mobilization when PDM had just come, and it has improved on people's livelihood. We are really so much appreciative to the government of Uganda because of this initiative. It has really helped people, especially farmers, to improve on their households' income. I've got 24 enterprise groups in Bulimia Ward, and all these groups have got money for the PDM. At least 98% of the population of the people in the circle have got money. Right now, as per now, we have given, in the first phase, we gave 107 people. Each of them got 1 million. And even now, this phase, we are in the process of disbursing money to the beneficiaries. This is it. People, they are dealing in maize production, poultry, piggery, and other food crops. But we are encouraging them to deal in poultry and maybe piggery, even value addition to these enterprises, more especially the maize. PDM is moving on well, and people are really testifying that this money has helped them to improve on their livelihoods. Me as a chief, I'm really so happy because people are really giving success stories. When you reach their households, at least this money has helped them to improve on their income. Others are having pigs, others are having chicken, goats. So they have really improved on their income.
The people who benefited from this PDM money were involved in agriculture. Some of these people established poultry farms, others established piggery farms, others put it in crop production, and there are positive impacts that have come up with this utilization of this money. They are able to sit together to make decisions on how to invest this money. And the good thing is that their investment plans are working. In most cases, they are working. I visited a farmer in Rugambe sub-county. The farmer used the money, the PDM money, for procurement of fertilizer. He had a cocoa farm, but the cocoa was not doing very well. So he used this money to procure fertilizer, and I can tell you that farm is now very good. You see the yield that the cocoa is bearing is really promising, and I think when they eventually sell, they will get a lot of money. The other thing is that there have been financial trainings to these people. How do they treat the finances? There always this VSLA, Village Saving and Credit. They are able to save and also borrow from those village saving circles in summary. So this financial discipline is really making people grow out of poverty. And I think with the subsequent phases, the program generally is impacting on the lives of the people positively.
Operation Wealth Creation is a Ugandan presidential initiative launched in 2013 to transition subsistence farmers into commercial production. The aim was to boost household income and reduce poverty.
Musevenomics point number 10 is bringing everybody into the money economy. And I'm very happy that all those have been realized.
Operation Wealth Creation is a good program, has succeeded primarily through distribution of quality seeds.
We are deep now in APA. We are busy distributing the seeds, all sorts of seeds. Farmer groups are here.
The President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has always appreciated the Chief Coordinator of Operation Wealth Creation, General Caleb Akandwanaho Salem Saleh, for boosting Uganda's fight against poverty and increasing households in the money economy from 30% in 2013 to 70% today.
The issue of wealth creation, we saw that Uganda would be very successful if we go back to develop the indigenous wealth, modernize it.
UBC TV, with a mandate to promote government programs, brings you a special weekly program on Operation Wealth Creation activities in the country.
We have about 45 acres of maize, which is already ready for harvest.
After giving them the seeds, they put into proper use, and now we are seeing the quality.
Join us as we travel